Before I start this short lesson on the judge and jury, I wanted to highlight one fact for you. If you're listening to this on a podcast app, most of the podcast apps available at this time are only sound, audio. But there are three platforms or apps. One is Podbean, another is Apple Podcasts, another is Castbox, where they have both audio and visual. There's a video aspect to it. So these three apps will have the lessons, all of the lessons, in fact, on my website, in its video format available to you. If you listen to, at this point of time in history, other podcast platforms, many have not invested in the video format, and so all you get is the audio of what you hear in this podcast. And as you know from many of the podcasts, I do have some musical entries into some of the video lessons, which if you're not using one of these podcast apps, you will just hear music and it won't make a bit of sense to you. So I would suggest if you are listening to my podcast, you choose one of these three formats in order to listen to this podcast. Apple obviously is only available on the iPhone. Podbean and Castbox are available both with Apple and with all other systems. So that being said, let me get into this short lesson regarding judge and jury. We're all human. We all make judgments about things, and judgments are transferred in language through patterns. Our emotions dictate conversation, and our emotions are expressed through patterns. And I wanted to show you very simply how that's done with when people are making judgments about what they've seen, what they've heard, what they're talking about. So the first one I'm going to go to is this. This is you should. You should do it. This is a judgment, a judgment that I'm making that I think you should do something. The adjective can also be added by simply putting be in an adjective. So you should go, you should be happy, you should be thankful. This is the positive and the negative. There is no future tense here, only the present and the past. But this easily can refer to the future using this by just using an adverb. You should go early. That's in fact implying the future. But there is no will here to designate a future. The you ought to meet her now does not have a negative form. Whereas these others, you better go, you better not go, you had better talk to him, you had better not talk to him. Those are they do have this negative form. In the past tense, this is the verb, the past participle. You should have gone. You should have met him. With the adjective, you should have been happier. Only should has a question form. Of all of these, only should. Should you have gone? Shouldn't they be happy? I missed a question mark there, but there should be a question mark. Shouldn't they be happy? So that is one form of a pattern where you can express a judgment about something. Now, some people may think that you can't go implies a judgment, and sometimes it does, but in the past tense, you couldn't go. There is no judgment, so the past tense doesn't make that much sense. If you're making a judgment about something, you should go now. You should call her. You better be nice to her. So that's a pattern which expresses an emotion subtly but effectively in conversation. Here's another variation for you. This is a judgment. You're supposed to go there now. You're supposed to be meeting her later. These are actually the same. You're supposed to go, you're supposed to be going. The past tense here, positive and negative. There is no future tense. You will be supposed to go is not good English. But once again, with the addition of an adverb or a time afterwards, it will imply the future. You are supposed to go later. You're supposed to go in 10 minutes. So that implies the future. But the pattern itself does not have a future component to it. So you should go. You're supposed to go. He wasn't supposed to do that. They weren't supposed to meet. Those two are very similar, very strong. You're being both the judge and the jury. And what I mean by that is, you're making that judgment, or the other person. You're taking ownership of a judgment. You don't need other people to tell you sometimes what's good or bad. Like with a jury, you can become both the judge and the jury. On the next page, there is some softer ways to imply a judgment that you made. And it does have a future tense here. You have a future, a present, and a past. There's conditioners here, the best, better, good. It would be better if you went. It would be best if you went. It would be better if you went. It would be good if you went. It would be best to go now. I'm making a judgment there. So obviously best is stronger than better or good. So you can soften it up here. This is the present tense. It's best to go out to eat now. This is the past tense. Curiously, in the past tense, if is not used like we see here and here as much as that. It was best that you talk to her. Another alternative, which you will find in hour 26, is this form. It's softer. I wish you would do that. I wish you would have gone. You can use the adjective here also. This is a softer feeling of your judgment of what should happen and what shouldn't happen. So you should go, as opposed to I wish you would go. I wish I would go is a little softer. These are softer too. So these are also alternatives for you. But they are patterns. The pattern never changes, only the ending here. So the pattern should that we had here, we studied in hour 4. I'm supposed to, we studied in hour 3 on our course. This we study in hour 26, and I've just added this here. Now, sometimes the next 2 pages, I'm going to show you some adverbs which I find tie into this theme of being a judge or judge and jury regarding what you think about what should be done. The first is this, and the feeling that you're conveying is you don't care one way or the other. It is one of the most, this adverb here is one of the most diverse adverbs of any in the English language, I think. You can say, do whatever you like, whatever you want, whatever you please. Do what you like, do what you want, do what you please. Do as you like, do as you want, do as you please. Do like you like, do like you want, do like you please. You'll see all these combinations. It's very rich in that. And you'll hear this a great deal. You know, if somebody says, ask you, do you think I should go now? Go when you like. If it's time, you would change it to when. Do whatever you like. Meet whoever you like. Do it however you like. But generally, this is used a lot. Now, here you will find just a couple sample sentences of that. So that's one set of adverbs which are help to convey no judgment at all. You don't care what the person does. Then finally we have the adverbs that deal with a judgment that was made by someone else, or you saw somewhere else, in a newspaper perhaps, or a friend told you. These adverbs are relatively the same. You will hear this a lot in news programs. If you don't want to be sued for saying something, you can say, oh, he supposedly took the money. Supposedly, you're not, supposedly is just, you heard it somewhere, but you're not taking ownership of that judgment. He took it, and he supposedly took it is incredibly different. And in newspapers and magazines and news hours, you will often hear the reporters using this so that they never get sued for telling a lie. Because someone said it, you can say, he apparently doesn't like her because, I heard about it. He allegedly. Here you see reportedly, and this was developed because, in newspapers, people say things, and, she reportedly took all the money. It was reported. But these are used together to express a judgment that somebody else has made. And here we have some simple examples of that. So this, if you go to this video and the PDF of the lesson that I've just shown is found in hour 26, because that's where we studied I wish I could, I wish I would. And you'll find this right at the bottom in the teacher's tips, I put it. This is the PDF of the lesson that I just showed you, and this is the video of that lesson. Thank you.